The body we see in the mirror every day is the one that gives us the experience of life, of happiness, sorrow, pain, and joy. But when this body becomes filled with sickness, it's not just our bones that tire, but our soul also seems to get lost in a fog. We run to doctors, get tests done, and become dependent on medicines. But we forget one thing: the power hidden within us, the power that can make us healthy even without medicine. Ayurvedic meditation isn't just sitting. It is an internal process where the body heals itself, just like a tree fills in its own severed parts. This isn't imagination or philosophy, it's an experience. And starting today, we are going to dive into that experience on a 7-day path of practice that will not only free the body from disease, but also fill the soul with light. Dear practitioner, this video is not just general information. It's an invitation to an experience. This is for all who are tired of medicines, test reports, and long lines at the doctor's office. Now is the time to awaken the healing power within you and to adopt the meditation that has been a tool for sages for centuries. I urge you not just to listen to these words, but to listen with the preparation to bring them into your life, because these 7 days can change your life if you accept them with a sincere heart. And yes, if you haven't liked the video yet, don't worry. But do share your experience in the comments, because your experiences will not only inspire us, but will also give others the strength to walk this path. So let's begin this journey of experience now. Day 1. When you take the first step towards this meditation, the body hesitates a bit. The habits you've formed, sleeping late, looking at your phone, starting the day with lethargy, all of them will pull you back. But this is the moment where you must tame yourself, just as a spiritual seeker first tames their mind to reach the divine. You wake up before the sun. You close your eyes and make a resolution. For these 7 days I will not awaken my body, but the healer within. You begin to focus on your breath. You don't need to imagine anything or repeat any mantra. Just observe the breaths coming in and going out, like a farmer watches where the raindrops fall. For 3 minutes, 5 minutes, then 10 minutes. The body becomes calm and the first change is felt right there. For the first time, you sit with yourself without any fear, stress, or worry about treatment. Your mind now sends a message to your body. Don't run anymore. Stop and heal yourself. And then the body slowly begins its healing process. Whatever the illness, a cough, a headache, fatigue, high blood pressure, arthritis, anxiety, or a stomach ailment, a conscious force awakens inside the body, telling every organ, it is time to be healthy. This is the first day, and you feel a little freshness and some relief throughout the day. At night, your sleep feels deep, because for the first time, your mind has found some rest from the day's constant rush. But the real work begins the next day. Day 2. On the second day, when the person began to experience the rhythm of their breath during meditation, it felt as though each breath was knocking on the door of their mind with some old, forgotten memory. He sat quietly with his eyes closed, but a door inside was slowly opening. He felt as though he was sitting by a riverbank where there was no noise, no hurry, just peace and a fragrant breeze touching his face. He did what he had learned on the first day: sit meditatively, keep his back straight, close his eyes, and simply watch his breath. But this time, he wasn't just watching his breath. He was watching his life's journey, his childhood, his struggles, his relationships, his mistakes. Everything began to play like a film inside him, and he was neither afraid, nor crying, nor smiling. He was simply watching. Ayurvedic meditation is not just about sitting, it's an internal cleansing. Just as bathing the body removes dirt, this practice shakes the dust off the soul. On the second day, he learned that internal impurities are more dangerous than external ones, and until he cleanses himself from within, no amount of medicine will make the disease leave him. He noticed that whenever he got angry, his stomach felt heavy. When he worried, he felt a tightness in his chest. When he felt jealous, his head would hurt. And for the first time, he understood that the cause of his illnesses was not outside, but hidden inside. in his emotions, his thoughts, and his old habits. Day 3. On the third day, he meditated before the sun rose. The sounds of birds, the coolness of the air, and the golden light spreading across the sky all came together and seemed to touch his soul. He sat in meditation and asked himself a question. Am I truly living, or am I just breathing? A voice from within him replied, "Until now, you haven't lived. You've only been carrying around accumulated pain. Now that you've entered into meditation, life will begin to flow." And then he experienced something he couldn't put into words, as if someone had lifted all the fatigue from his head, as if a stone had been removed from his heart. His body began to feel light, and his mind was like the sky. In Ayurveda, prana is not just life force, but the soul's closest companion. When this prana awakens in the body through meditation, it's not just diseases that flee. Light enters life. Day 4. On the fourth day, he noticed that his diet had changed. He no longer liked fried and greasy foods. He began to enjoy light, wholesome food as if his body itself were saying, "I need something pure now." He continued to sit in meditation every day, and each day a new layer would unfold. Sometimes he would start laughing while meditating. Other times tears would flow from his eyes, but he knew that this was all the purification of his soul. Sometimes a warmth would run down his spine, and other times a point of light would gather in the middle of his forehead. He didn't ask anyone or tell anyone because now he knew that the language of meditation is understood not by words, but by experience. Day 5. On the fifth day, he noticed that his anger had significantly decreased. He could now laugh at the words of people who used to annoy him. He understood that someone who is strong from within cannot be shaken by external disturbances, and this is what true health is, not just of the body, but also of the mind and soul. Day 6. On the sixth day, when he sat in meditation for the first time, he truly listened to his body. What were his feet saying? What did his back want? What emotion was his heart filled with? He felt all of this. He felt as though he was talking to his body after years, and the body said, "Now you listen to me. I will never make you sick." Day 7. The seventh day was like a celebration for him. He woke up during the Brahma Muhurta, the auspicious time before dawn, bathed, lit a lamp, and sat in silence. In the midst of meditation, he felt a divine light descending into him. Someone seemed to be saying, "Now you are ready for that journey where there is no disease, no sorrow, just peace and the feeling of immortality." And in this way, this 7-day Ayurvedic meditation experiment was not just a practice for him, it became a life transformation. Now he sits to meet himself every day and finds a new self each time. Sometimes the inner peace becomes so profound that the noise outside stops being heard. The pulse rate slows down, and the breath seems to flow in rhythm with an invisible tune. In that moment, the person feels as though they are not the body or the thoughts, but just a silent vibration that is neither gross nor subtle, but beyond both. This is the special feature of Ayurvedic meditation. It starts with the sound of the body and leads to the peace of the soul. When this meditation is not just about a dry treatment, but a living touch of nature, it is not merely a mental cure but a spiritual rebirth. In this practice, Ayurvedic elements like tulsi, holy basil, brahmi, and ashwagandha are no longer just medicines. They become mantras that open the secret doors of energy within the body. When a person consumes these elements in a meditative state, they don't just provide nourishment, but pave the way for consciousness. That's why ancient sages called Ayurveda not just medicine, but penance. When the fire of meditation is offered to herbs, the internal air is purified. The mind becomes stable with pranayama, and in that stability, the true whisper of the soul is heard. The experience of that moment is like a dry tree suddenly filling with flowers, or like a ray of sun suddenly entering a closed cave. But all this is possible only if the practitioner adopts this meditation at a regular time every day, a time like the Brahma Muhurta, when the earth's channels and the body's channels are in sync. This is the moment when Ayurvedic meditation is most effective, and the trinity of body, mind, and soul reaches a point of convergence. During meditation, when the mind is in a state of rest, old sorrows, hidden fears, or suppressed emotions often come to the surface. You shouldn't be alarmed by them. This is the process of cleansing the body and mind. Just as froth rises to the surface when water boils, the impurities from within emerge during meditation. Let them come out. Don't stop them. Don't suppress them. Just watch and let them go. This process can be painful, but it is the process of awakening. And this is the door from which true healing begins, not just of the body but also of the soul's weariness. When a person is freed from this weariness, all the colors of life begin to seem new again. The same air, the same sky, the same relationships. Everything feels changed. Then Ayurvedic meditation is no longer just a practice, it becomes a lifestyle. Every morning begins like a sacred ritual. When a person awakens, it's not just their eyes that open. Their consciousness also awakens, and whatever they do, it is filled with love, surrender, and an intuitive understanding that this life is not just for living, but for experiencing. And this is the experience that connects them to nature. Then the person no longer feels separate. They flow in water, fly in the air, get purified in fire, and expand into the sky. This is the ultimate union, the merger of Ayurveda and meditation, which is not written in scriptures but in the depths of the heart. The seventh day, a new beginning now. Turn your attention to the inner sky. The start of this seventh day was different, as if something within had become still, as if all the turmoil of the mind had quieted and dissolved into a deep lake. Today, the body, mind, and soul were all moving in unison. This experience had never happened before. The first ray of sunlight seemed to strike the inside of his head, and his being filled with light. Before starting today's meditation, a cup of warm water with turmeric and tulsi leaves was prepared. Drinking it prepared the body. Then, he sat peacefully with a straight back, closed his eyes, and began to gently feel his breaths. Today, he was only listening to the shunya, void, of sound. That is, the inner voice that had turned away from all thoughts. The mind initially ran and was a little scared, but that fear had also now fallen silent. The 7-day practice had brought a new order within. Every cell of his body had awakened. It felt as though light, not blood, was flowing through his veins. Ayurveda states that when the digestive fire, Agni, is balanced, when the mind is calm, and when the prana shakti, life force, is free, diseases cannot persist in the body. And this is what was happening today. The cough that had been bothering him for months now forgot it was in his body. It didn't just run away, it flew away. This 7-day practice is not a miracle, but a science. It is a pure experience, not emotion or fantasy, just experience. When turmeric purified the body, when discipline sanctified the blood, when Triphala cleansed the intestines, and when he drank water from a copper vessel early in the morning to awaken his liver, his body began to smile. The mind, which was once covered in dark clouds, had now become an open sky. Thoughts come, but they no longer stick. Emotions come, but they come and go like waves in the ocean. There is no fear of drowning in them. The biggest change in these 7 days was that there was no longer a need to run away from the external world. A world had begun to reside within, a world where there is peace, bliss, and above all, self-realization. The next step is to keep this experience alive in daily life. For this, some special methods will be explained in detail in the next script, such as the harmony of fasting with meditation, the subtle practice of panchakarma, and the secret mysteries of meditation that are only passed down through the Guru-Shishya Parampara, teacher-disciple tradition. The final stages, now that the body and mind are both purified, the door to the soul opens on its own. And when we enter the next stage of meditation, everything slowly begins to merge into silence. Words are no longer needed because the communication between the soul and the supreme consciousness, Paramatma, happens only through vibration. This is the moment in meditation when the practitioner begins to understand themselves not as a body, but as consciousness. For them, there is no longer any distinction between day and night because they have transcended time. They now only experience the present moment, pure, clear, and infinite. As soon as they sit in meditation, their breaths slow down, their heart rate calms, and their thoughts stop. This is not forced. It's a natural flow, like a waterfall flowing quietly. Their mind no longer makes any sound. It appears only as a void. In this void, they can see themselves without any mask or identity. What remains is only observation, only the state of being a witness. They see themselves from the outside, not as a practitioner, but as an observer. And in that moment, when they see themselves, they also see the Supreme Consciousness, because the soul and the Supreme Consciousness are not separate. Meditation makes them realize that the I they have been talking about never really existed. It was just an illusion, a fantasy. The truth is that everything is one consciousness, the same that is in trees, in rivers, in the sky, and also within us. As this realization deepens, tears come to the practitioner's eyes. But these are not tears of sorrow. They are tears of that bliss that cannot be described in words. These are tears of that ultimate fulfillment which, once attained, means everything has been attained. And then, slowly, the practitioner begins to change from within. There is no longer any rush in their life, no ambition. Whatever they do with love and surrender. Life has now become a spiritual practice for them. When they speak, words don't come out, but energy. When they see, it's not just their eyes but their soul that sees. And when they walk, the earth recognizes their steps. Meditation has not just given them peace, it has given them a new perspective. They now see everything in a new way: a flower, a bird, a child, an elderly person. In everything, they now see God. Slowly, they begin to share this experience. They don't give sermons to others but simply touch them with their silence. Silence itself becomes the greatest discourse. People sit with them and experience change without a single word. This is the final stage of meditation, where the practitioner themselves becomes an energy center. Now, they neither desire anything nor hold anything back. They simply flow in that divinity, in that consciousness we call the Supreme. And in this state, they understand that the universe is not an external thing, but their own expansion. The sun is their light, the moon is their coolness, the air is what flows in their breath. Meditation doesn't connect them to the universe. It reminds them that they themselves are the universe. This understanding doesn't come from books. It comes from experience, and meditation is the path that leads to this experience. This path may seem difficult, but once you take a step, the universe itself becomes the way. Then there is no fear of failure, of death, of loneliness, because the one who has found the divine knows that they were never alone. This is the fifth stage of meditation, where the practitioner themselves becomes divine, merges into the universe. And then whatever they say, whatever they do, it's all a message, a divine message that comes directly from the soul. And then, when everything becomes quiet, the internal turmoil, the waves of the mind, the noise of desires, the real door of meditation opens. This door does not lead outward but descends inward, and the experience of that descent is not found in any scripture, sermon, temple, or pilgrimage site. This is the experience where the practitioner doesn't go to meet God. Instead, God begins to manifest within. For those who have adopted this 7-day Ayurvedic meditation with complete sincerity, meditation is no longer a practice but the very foundation of their life. Their daily routine is no longer focused on themselves but is centered on life as a whole. What they eat to nourish not the body, but the soul. What they speak is not just communication but a transmission of energy. Every breath, every thought, every action has now become meditative. They now know that diseases are not just at the level of the body. They are in thoughts, in speech, in perspective. And meditation is the only medicine that touches all these levels. Ayurveda tells us that when food, daily routine, and thoughts become pure, sattvic, the body automatically heals. But meditation teaches us that the healing of the body is not enough. The purification of the soul is just as essential. As the practitioner enters the sixth part, they experience that the body is no longer a separate object. It has become a medium, a bridge through which the soul completes its experiences on this earth. And when this bridge is pure, when there is no burden on it, the soul illuminates life with its full brilliance. Their dreams have changed. They no longer worry about the future because they have gained the confidence that for someone who is peaceful within, the external world also becomes favorable. He is no longer in a hurry because he has experienced that in the universe's rhythm, everything happens at its own time. Not a moment too soon, not a moment too late. His body now asks for food, but only pure food. He has come to know that meat, overly fried and chemical-laden items are only for the tongue, not for the soul. He now sees immortality in a single tulsi leaf, the essence of life in a neem branch, and he feels a new birth energy in the morning sun. The sixth day of practice deepens. Now he doesn't close his eyes. Instead, he begins to see, and his vision goes not outward, but inward. When he sits, he now sees a point in the middle of his head, a shining flame. That point slowly takes shape, sometimes like water, sometimes like light, sometimes like a divine flame. And he stays sitting there, gazing at that flame as if that flame is none other than his true form. Now his connection is not just with the body, but with that consciousness which is beyond time, space, and identity. And this is the moment when Ayurvedic meditation reaches its peak. He is no longer afraid of diseases because he knows that diseases are just a signal that something is out of balance. Now he doesn't fear. He understands. He no longer runs to doctors. He first has a dialogue with himself, and this self-dialogue saves him. This self-dialogue is possible only through meditation, and this is the secret that can only be known through practice, not from a book or from a conversation. Meditation is that lamp which destroys the darkness within, and as it burns, it begins to show the practitioner their true self. The end of the sixth day begins with a deep silence, a silence that doesn't speak but says everything, a silence that doesn't tire but gives energy, a silence that introduces a person to their inner truth without any guru, without any method, just in their own pure presence. And when this silence becomes permanent within, meditation is no longer just an action. It becomes life itself. This stream of knowledge now flowed in the inner sky. The mind had forgotten how to look outward. It was now lost only in the light within. It felt as though the speed of time had stopped. Every breath, every heartbeat was repeating the same thing. I am not the body. I am the soul. Now, every morning, the practitioner would wake up with that first thought. God is within me and I am merged in him. In the freshness of the Brahma Muhurta, the auspicious time before dawn, when he closed his eyes, a thin line of light would rise from the center of his forehead and go straight towards the sky. That line had no color or form, but it was so peaceful that his heart would weep. Tears would fall from his eyes, but his mind would be smiling. Slowly, the practitioner's consciousness became stable in one place. Now, he was neither afraid of thoughts nor carried away by desires, because he had found the secret that whatever comes and goes, the one who is seated within never leaves. The one who is within is the truth, the eternal. His practice was now just silence. No mantras, no chanting, just silence. And in that silence, he wasn't losing himself but finding himself. When he sat under a tree, the wind would also slow down. Leaves would rustle as if a secret conversation was taking place. The practitioner now heard silence in sounds and divine music in silence. He had come to know that Brahma Muhurta is not just a time, but a door to that ultimate truth from where the soul came and to where it must return. One night when the moonlight was scattered all around, the practitioner sat in meditation. But that night's meditation was different. As if a call had come, as if someone was saying, Come now, you are ready. And that same night, for the first time, he heard that inner sound, an astonishing sound of Om, which was rising from within. It was neither an instrument nor a word. It was just a vibration. In that vibration there was a depth, a compassion, a consciousness. His body seemed to start moving on its own without any effort. He was not meditating or practicing. He had now become the practice itself. And in this state, he learned for the first time that there is no distance between the soul and the supreme consciousness. The one who thinks they know becomes the illusion themselves. Now, whenever he woke up in the morning, he found himself new, as if something within had broken in the night and something new had sprouted. He neither worried about the future nor carried the burden of the past. Every moment of his life was an offering to that God who is never seen but is felt every moment. And this was the secret of Brahma Muhurta, not just a time in the morning, but the rebirth of the soul, the awakening of consciousness. And when consciousness awakens, a person doesn't change. They disappear, and the supreme consciousness manifests in them. Now the practitioner does not go to explain anything to anyone. He just smiles because a person who finds God within themselves doesn't need to say anything to the world. There is love in his eyes, peace in his steps, and music in his breath. And now, from here begins that next journey, where only one realization remains, a state even beyond experience, the state of the soul completely merging into the supreme consciousness. And now the practitioner slowly moves toward that final door where no sense of self remains. Until consciousness is entangled in the body's center, it considers itself limited. But as soon as it descends into the silent depths within, it understands that what we think we are is just a superficial shadow. The real us is the witness, the one who is seeing, the one who knows everything, but remains untouched. This is the path of meditation, the art of seeing oneself in oneself. As meditation deepens, a state comes where even the shadows of thoughts disappear. This is the state where time stands still, where concepts like I and mine begin to dissolve. This is the point where there is no duality between the soul and the supreme consciousness. Only a vast nothingness remains, in which everything is contained. To experience this state, one must use the body like an instrument, but at the same time, one must go beyond this instrument. This does not mean abandoning the body, but understanding that the body is your medium, a tool, not the goal. The practice of brahmacharya, celibacy, purity, gives a practitioner strength at this point. It prevents the loss of their energy and gathers it for the inner journey. When the attraction of the senses turns into the inner eye, the practitioner sees that light which is neither the sun nor the moon, but which illuminates the entire universe. After realizing that light, the world is not the same as it was before. They see the reflection of that same light in every object, whether it's a tree or a person, whether it's the peace of the night or the first ray of the morning. This is what brahmacharya is, not just the suppression of desire, but the upward movement of energy. When this energy rises from the root chakra to the crown chakra, a shower of immortality falls within the practitioner. This is that nectar which the sages called samaras, which is obtained by being cooked in the fire of meditation. This nectar is not a beverage. It is that state of consciousness where the fear of death ends. And when the fear of death disappears, every moment of life becomes blissful. Then the practitioner does not lose their inner peace in any situation. They know that the external world is a wave, but they themselves are the ocean, unmoving, deep, and calm. This journey of consciousness we call from brahmacharya to the universe. This journey is undertaken alone, but when someone walks this path, the entire creation walks with them. Their thoughts, their words, their vision, everything changes. Now they are no longer just a person, they become energy. They become an inspiration. And when this inner consciousness is fully awakened, a new world begins. Listen, friends. Now that you have come this far through the various stages of the inner journey, we are moving towards that secret where the complete union of body and soul happens through Ayurvedic meditation. In this presentation, We are going to introduce you to that subtle science after knowing which, meditation becomes not just a practice but a ladder to meeting the supreme consciousness itself. Now, just imagine a farmer plowing a field, but his mind is completely calm. He knows that after sowing the seeds, the rain will fall on time. The crop will grow. It will take time, but he is not impatient. This is the essence of Ayurvedic meditation: patience, faith in nature, and peace of the soul. When you understand that everything has its own time, you connect from within to the laws of creation that change everything even without a fuss. In this presentation, we will explain the method that has come down from the ancient texts of Ayurveda to the caves of yogis. We will now learn in detail how to use Ayurvedic meditation to tame the 5 great elements of the body: earth, water, fire, air, and space. First, let's talk about the water element. Whenever you sit in meditation, keep a clay pot of water in front of you. Put a few leaves of tulsi in the water and breathe peacefully while looking at it. The vibration of the water cleanses your consciousness. Just by looking at this water during meditation, your emotions become stable. The storm of restlessness within the mind slowly begins to calm down with the cooling nature of this water. Now let's move on to the fire element. Light a lamp before you meditate. That lamp not only gives light but goes into the depths of your inner self and reveals the darkness there. The vibration of the fire pulls the person in meditation out of laziness and sharpens consciousness. When you close your eyes and feel the vibration of the fire in the center of your forehead, that is where the Sushumna Nadi, a central energy channel, becomes active. For the air element, sit in an open environment under trees. Inhale and exhale slowly. Remember, Ayurveda says there is no greater medicine than breath. When you completely understand your breath, you also gain control over your thoughts, and this is the true form of meditation: liberation from the slavery of thoughts. Practice the earth element when you sit or walk barefoot on the ground. Just touching the earth for a few moments at the beginning of meditation, sitting on it, stabilizes your energy. The earth is our mother, and when we connect with our mother while meditating, all our instability disappears. And now the final but most mysterious element: space. While meditating, when you don't think of anything but just sink into the void, shunya, you connect with space. Ayurveda calls this state Brahma Sthiti, where there is neither body nor thought, just experience. Now close your eyes and in your mind say, "I am the earth, I am water, I am fire, I am air, and I am space." When you accept this, your consciousness connects with nature. Now you are not just a human being. You become a part of the laws of creation. Now your meditation is not just a process of sitting, but a divine journey where every breath becomes filled with Ayurvedic wisdom. When harmony is established between the body, mind, and soul, the real experience of meditation happens. This experience is no longer just a mental process. It then becomes the very nature of life. And when meditation becomes the nature of life, every breath, every glance, every emotion, every thought, every contact, everything becomes a form of yoga, a form of penance. Ayurveda does not consider this meditation as just a mental activity, but believes that meditation is a medicine, a nectar that calms the internal fires, Agni, and gives birth to that heat that leads us to higher consciousness. When you continuously adopt this practice, the imbalances, doshas, generated in the body slowly begin to end. When Vata, Pitta, and Kapha all become balanced, the energy within you, the prana shakti, begins to flow in the Sushumna. This flow opens that door from where the expansion of consciousness begins. Now it is necessary to understand how subtly prana flows within the body and how this prana affects our entire system through the channels, nadis. When you enter into a deep meditation, especially when that meditation is associated with a specific Ayurvedic practice, such as meditation after Nasha, Abhyanga, or Shirodhara, the body has become so pure that the mind doesn't stay on it. Instead, the mind begins to flow in the inward direction. And when it flows in this inward direction, consciousness begins to transcend the body. In this state, you experience what yogis have called the Turiya Avastha, the fourth state. This is neither sleep, nor wakefulness, nor dreaming. It is a state even beyond that. And when the seed of meditation takes root in the Turiya state, it slowly becomes a banyan tree in the land of consciousness. This is that banyan tree in whose shade the soul rests, and there, the touch of the Supreme Consciousness is experienced. But meditation does not stop only at that state. The peak of meditation is where the I disappears, where the practitioner, the practice, and the goal all come to an end. Only silence remains. Only experience remains. And that very experience becomes the realization of the Supreme Consciousness. Now, in this state, another profound secret is revealed, which, combined with the elements described by Ayurveda, gives birth to the perfection of meditation. When the earth element becomes stable, the water element becomes calm. The fire element comes into balance. The air element moves in a smooth rhythm, and the space element merges into expansion. Then the five great elements achieve balance, samatva. And when they are in balance, the Kundalini Shakti, which remains dormant in the root chakra, begins to awaken. The experience of Kundalini awakening is not a miracle. It is a natural process that happens when the energy of the body, mind, and soul are in harmony. Meditation is like a powerful tool that awakens this dormant power. This is not mysticism, it is scientific, because every wave of consciousness, every vibration, every ripple is connected to the momentum of some energy. As the practitioner awakens this energy, the body begins to vibrate, flashes of light appear in the mind, and the sound of an unseen music is heard within. This is called nada. This nada is not meant to be heard with the ears, it is heard by the soul, and that nada later becomes Omkar, the Om sound that is the origin of creation and the peak of meditation. After this realization, no matter what state the practitioner is in, whether it's physical illness, mental conflict, or a struggle in life, they don't break or fall apart. This is because they now know that their center is not the body or the mind. Their center is consciousness, and nothing in the world can disturb someone who is connected to consciousness. Therefore, Ayurvedic meditation is not just a means to make the body healthy, but it is a method to connect life with divinity. It is that science which brings together yoga, meditation, and Ayurveda. And when this confluence happens, the practitioner themselves becomes a holy site, a place where anyone who looks within sees God. As the soul's journey moves towards this void, it reaches a place where no thoughts, no imaginations, no identities can remain. Just silence. Only silence. The same silence in which the first sound of creation was born. The same silence in which God looks into himself. This is the final step where the practitioner erases themselves and what remains is nothing but being. This is the point where the experience and the one experiencing become one. I am meditating. This too disappears. Only meditation remains. I am experiencing God. This feeling also vanishes. Only God remains. Then, that same breath, that same heartbeat, that same silence, that same vibration, all of it contains the same consciousness that runs the entire universe. The practitioner, with closed eyes, is now not looking at the sun outside but the sun within. That light which is seen not by the eyes but by the soul, which doesn't burn outside but is lit within. That lamp which does not go out. That tune which does not break. That word which is not spoken. That is the truth of the soul. At this point, brahmacharya is no longer a rule. It becomes the practitioner's pure presence. Trataka, a meditation technique, is no longer an exercise but the stability of their gaze. Meditation is no longer an effort, but their natural state. And the Supreme Consciousness is no longer a goal but their inherent scent, like the fragrance in a flower. Now, the practitioner desires nothing, and so they have everything. They ask for nothing, and so the entire universe flows within them. The one who became empty was filled. The one who was erased remained. The one who stopped flowed. This is the ultimate yoga, not practice, not discipline, not method, but simply being. And when this being happens, that practitioner can light a lamp in the lives of others. Now their silence also becomes a voice. Their walking also becomes meditation. Their presence can also give someone the experience of the supreme consciousness. They don't show the way to anyone, they themselves become the way. Therefore, if you have listened to everything, understood it, and felt it from within, these final words can be not an end for you, but a new beginning. Because the one who rises from here does not return. They flow, expand, and illuminate the entire existence. So now is the time for you to go within. Leave the words behind. Don't hold on to the experience. Just sit in silence. Maybe there, a voice will rise that is not yours but is still the most yours. We offer our deepest salutations to all you spiritual viewers. In this entire journey, in this message full of thoughts, you have shared your precious time with us. This is not just a number for us but a sacred companionship. Our goal is not just to share knowledge, but to awaken that piece of the soul that has been sitting silently within you for centuries. If you found a glimpse of light somewhere in this series of words, if a single sentence touched you from within, then understand that this was our purpose. We pray for an unending stream of peace, love, and consciousness in your life. We thank you for your patience, your trust, and most of all, your spirit of listening. In meditation, in peace, in truth, we will meet again. Your soulful thanks.